just about live. Let's just do a quick check. As always, see what that was out there. All right, we're going to do a quick quick audio check. If you are new or just jumping on the stream, welcome. We're going to be chatting about Freemasonry. This is my 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time stream. I'm just doing a quick standard sound check. We're all good. Okay, let's go public. Welcome. Let's chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. I do these streams Mondays through Fridays, 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Today, I talked about, or the 1 p.m. stream, I talked about the Metropolitan Police's recent decision regarding disclosure of membership within Freemasonry. That's from the United Kingdom, and the current status of that decision, both the compliance of officers, the injunction filed by United Garden Lodge of England and its partners, and the current status of it in court, which is, I guess, right now it is still being examined in court. I understand that the Metropolitan Police is not enforcing the requirement that Freemasons, either current or past Freemasons, disclose their membership status. They can do so voluntarily, but I think that I believe that at the moment they are waiting until there is a court ruling to determine if they're going to proceed with enforcement. At least that's what I understand. I talked about the Canadian passport, its ranking in the world, why I think that's important for Freemasons to understand. I also talked about public transit, why I think that's important for Freemasons to consider, the transit in their area. And I talked about January being International Quality of Life Month and what that means. So with that, let's give it a bit of time. Let's wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. These 1 a.m. streams, I just hang out and chat about whatever. I don't have any specific topics. So let's see who joins. Again, the general topic is Freemasonry, but within that context, there are many different topics that we can discuss. And honestly, if there are other things we want to discuss outside of Freemasonry, that's cool as well. How did I do what, Dintalovic? I'm going to assume something awesome. Donald Glover. Usually when there's an N, there's something coming after it. Well, there you go. Timmy and Eric, big time. You can tell a joke, although I guess my questions would be, what is the joke you're going to tell? I hope it's a good joke and not a mean or unkind joke. I do not know who David Gergen is. I mean, Freemasonry is legal in my province, as it is throughout Canada, as it is throughout the United States. There may be some countries where Freemasonry is illegal. I understand, for example, Iran, the UAE. But as a general rule, Freemasonry is legal in most countries around the world. And even if Freemasonry is illegal, it doesn't mean there are no Freemasons within the country. They could be visiting from other countries. Like when I was in the UAE, they could have family that they're visiting, or they could have joined a Masonic lodge while outside the country and then returned to live there. I did not. I do not know who that person is either. What do Freemasons... Hello, Nunu. Hola. Please hit like and subscribe. Well, this is probably a gross joke, so I'm going to put you in a little bit of a timeout. So when you say what do Freemasons even do, I can tell you what I do, which is sit here on stream and talk. Freemasonry is a civic organization. It is a community group. What that means is, we do a variety of things in the community, charitable endeavors, meetings. Primarily what we do, in my opinion, is try to build a better community through the applications of brotherly love, relief, and truth. But at its core, what we do is fulfill the human desire to belong to something, to belong to a group. It's really no different than a boys' night out or a guys' night out, just incredibly formalized version of it. We also do not worship Lucifer. I'm very sorry to let you know that. Cole Minette, but we do not worship Lucifer, nor do we worship Lucifet. Um, we are also not satanic as anything. Just Nick, the question. Albert Pike, by the way, is one dude. He wrote Morals and Dogma. He is not an expert on Freemasonry. He's an expert on his views of Freemasonry. Um, I've seen Albert Pike's quote many times. Albert Pike was a Luciferian. That doesn't mean what he said was accurate about Freemasonry. That was his view on Freemasonry. Um, my papa was a Mason as well, Silver Knight, and I actually called him a my papa as well. On my mom's side, my grandparents were Nana and Papa, and my papa was a Freemason. On my dad's side, it was Grandma Lily. My grandfather passed away before I was born, but he was a Mason as well, and then my dad is a Mason. Um, I am a third degree Master Mason, just Nick, which is the highest degree within Freemasonry. I am also 18th degree Scottish Rite. Hello, Inner City Pigeon. Please hit like and subscribe. Colemanette TV, please hit like and subscribe. Nomadic 111, please hit like and subscribe. I'm sure your funhouse mirror gives you a very handsome look. Uh, yeah, my dad is a Mason as well. What can I say? I'm very tired. It's 1:20 a.m. What about the Scottish Rite? Scottish Rite is awesome. I am a member of Scottish Rite. They are an excellent part of the Masonic fraternity. Anthony Parker, what matters is not whether I'm gay or not, it's whether you are a subscriber or not. And whether I was gay or not would make no difference to Freemasonry. We welcome men of all different. I mean, I've known gay Freemasons, straight Freemasons. It's not relevant to the craft. My which tax dollars are coming to me exactly, Zohabe? If there are tax dollars I'm getting that I'm not aware of, I'd like that to change. I do not know what it means. A real Mason does not conduct himself like this. There is no such thing as a quote unquote single way to be a real Mason. Masons can act in a variety of ways, and there are a variety of different personalities and conducts. We're required, well, not as much as anything else, we're required to be good men and true and kind, charitable, benevolent. There's nothing on there about being on or not on YouTube. Um, I am handsome, Shane MC Nair. I am handsome. Um, I mean, I don't know actually. That's a good question, Jisnik. Why the Masonry uses the King James Bible as the main version? I'm honestly not a theologian, so I don't even know the different types of Bibles there are. To my knowledge, King James Bible is just the standard Bible in most settings in the West. If there's another type of Bible that maybe is more popular, I wouldn't be able to say why though. That's a good question. That's one I don't know. Colemanette, we do not have our own Bible. That is, you are incorrect about that. The Masonic Bible to which you're thinking of is really just the King James Bible. The difference is it usually has the square and compasses on the front, and it usually has a space in the front for members to sign, to give as a gift for a brother upon getting his third degree. So he has signatures in the front where all the Masons who attended his degrees can sign, and sometimes there will be footnotes in there related to passages that maybe have some Masonic significance, like about King Solomon's Temple, for example. Um, no I mean, I don't believe in magic, so no, Masons do not use magic. I don't believe in magic, to be honest. York Rite is an appendant body, Mickey Mooney, within Freemasonry after you get your first 3 degrees. If you'd like, you can join the York Rite, which is divided into chapters. There's the Templars, I can't remember the different orders within it now, but it's one of the appendant bodies within Freemasonry. There's also York Ritual, which sometimes refers to the first 3 degrees in most American jurisdictions. I come from Canada, Windsor, Ontario, born and raised in Winnipeg. I could also come from the West, Darren, depending on what you're asking. Um, Freemasons, don't get mad because I'm here talking about Freemasonry. I do or I can get annoyed when I feel like people are misinterpreting or misunderstanding what Freemasonry is and continuously misunderstanding it. That can be frustrating. So all the presidents were not Freemasons. 14 or 15 of the presidents were Freemasons, which works out to about 33%, give or take. Um, Nice. Winnipeg does not suck, Blake Bennett. Winnipeg is awesome. I love Winnipeg. It's my hometown. I was born and raised. Why are you knocking Winnipeg? Where does this come from? Bush is not a Freemason. Zohaib, to my knowledge, he might have been Skull and Bones, which is a Yale fraternity, but he's not a Freemason. And Winnipeg is not trash. Winnipeg is awesome. Cody Small, I am a Freemason. Um, you know, been a Freemason since 2007. Well, that's true. That is a coincidence. When I say 33%, it's about 33%. Again, it's 14 out of how many presidents has there been so far? So there have been 45 individuals serving 47 presidencies. So what 14 divided by 45 is 31. So it's actually 31%. Or if you want to go 15 out of 45, then it is actually 33%. So that's interesting. Um, so this guy's Freemason stuff. Well, then why are you here if you think it's the biggest load of ass, Blake Bennett? Other than my assumption is you're leading not a great life. There's more than that, and Winnipeg's a wonderful town. I'm not sure why you're knocking it. And by the way, what difference would it make the number of people of a certain race within Winnipeg, right? What makes a city great is not the race of its inhabitants, but the character within. What else is 33? I mean, 33 is often considered the highest rank in Freemasonry by people who don't know any better. The highest rank in Freemasonry is the third degree. Freemason, the 33rd degree is an honorary right within, or an honorary degree within Freemasonry, specifically within one branch of Freemasonry, the Scottish Rite. Travis says I'm an asshole and a liberal. I actually worked for Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Say my name and I'll subscribe. Well, sorry, I'm going to call you Lou. I'm not going to say your full name. Actually, here you go. Lou hyphen San Us. There you go. I said your name. Um, my nose is so big because I'm so handsome. If I had a regular sized nose, it would be unfair to all the other men out there. I wouldn't be able to leave any ladies for the rest of you. Um, I was an intern in the Office of the Prime Minister in 2009 and very honored to do so. It was actually founded in France, the Scottish Rite. Um, and I don't know any Freemasons who defend Epstein. I'm certainly not going to defend Epstein. Yes, you have to have a lot of patience. If you're going to be on stream, you have to have a lot of patience. If you're going to help me have patience, please hit like and subscribe. Um, Sometimes, Darren, depends who you get. But what I will say as I talk about Freemasonry is once again, keep in mind, Freemasonry is not political. We have many Freemasons of many different political ideologies, left, right, conservative, liberal. I mean, I know I got a big gap in my teeth, but I don't think they're that dirty looking, are they? What do you mean? Why are you making fun of my toothbrush all of a sudden? It's just my teeth have a big gap in them. I don't think that makes them look ugly. Kasha, yes, women can be Freemasonry. Women can be Freemasonry. Women can be Freemasons. There's the Order of Women Freemasons. There's also Eastern Star. There is also um, um, there's co-Freemasonry out of like Grand Orient, for example. Um, Well, Scottish Rite is not the same as Scotland. Scottish Rite is different. So the King James Bible, Freemasonry is not political. Freemasonry is neither political nor religious. To my knowledge, there's no set rule. As a general rule, in my experience, most lodges seem to use the King James version of the Bible. Now, admittedly, I haven't looked into it too deeply. I rarely check what version it is. Just on the few occasions I've noticed, or for whatever reason, maybe put out the volume of the Sacred Law. Some lodges don't even use a Bible, right? They could use a Quran, they could use a Torah, they could use an eagle feather, but that's for another stream. When I have found the volume to be a Bible, oftentimes I find it to be the King James Version. But again, within Freemasonry, there is no specific standard holy book. There's a volume of the Sacred Law, but for example, I've seen a Quran used, I've seen a Torah used, I've seen an eagle feather used. I've heard of special stones being used as emblems for a Wiccan, Wiccan Freemason. It really depends on who's joining. Hello, guess what? No, I cannot, but I do like the Canadian flag you've got there. We do not use holy books. We call them volumes of sacred law to insult God any more than a holy book is used in a court when you are swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right? It's not being used to insult anybody's faith. Rather, it is being used to make the oaths and obligations have a greater meaning. There's a reason why the Bible or a Quran or a Torah is used in a court of law when someone is swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Um, they do not worship. I don't know what you mean by that, Dylan. We within Freemasonry, it's not a religion, it's a civic organization. So there is no single being worshipped. Rather, every Freemason will come to Freemasonry with his own understanding of a supreme being. He could be Muslim, Jewish, Christian, French. He could be Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, indigenous. He could come from France, from Scotland, from England, from around the world. We do not discriminate based on religion, ethnicity, politics, nationality. It is not an ungodly organization. Ashley is in your mouth. You've popped up here a few times, Ashley in your mouth, and you seem to keep saying the same things, which makes me think whatever I say, you're not going to believe. So I'm curious why you keep showing up. Um, so I can't speak to George Washington making sacrifices to a god. I know George Washington was a Freemason. I've seen many Freemasons engaged in rituals regarding buildings. They're usually called a cornerstone ceremony. I've never seen any done to a god, and I would not know even to which. I would not know what a Masonic god is. Those don't exist, right? Freemasonry, again, is not a religion. Um, Mike, well, thank you for being here. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. It's very challenging, Mike Oxtiny, to figure out how to deal with trolls because I don't know what a troll necessarily is, right? What I mean by that is, um, like I started this stream to talk about Freemasonry, to talk about and promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as why I love Freemasonry. Um, you know, the it's very easy, I think, for people who don't know what Freemasonry is to um, to see stuff online that's incorrect about Freemasonry and believe it, and then come on this stream and, you know, say, oh, I saw Freemasons are worship Satan, whatever it is. I don't know if that is a troll or if they genuinely believe it. And if they do genuinely believe it, I want to at least try to engage with them to demonstrate or try to show them my experience and my knowledge being a 20-year Mason, approximately 20 years, and having attended meetings around the world. Like when Zohaib says Freemasons wage war, I don't know whether he means that or doesn't mean that, right? If he doesn't mean that and is just saying that to get a rise, it's a troll. If he does mean that, I want to at least give him the benefit of the doubt and try to respond to him in whatever way I can. Um, do I think the order is dying? um, Darren Lind. I think within North America, Freemasonry is dying, and I hope that this stream and this channel can help reverse that. I think globally, it's not. It is growing and doing quite well in places like the Philippines and South America. And hopefully, what we're seeing is a cycle and it's cyclical and not a continual downward trend. Just because something is struggling and going one direction today doesn't mean it can't go up and thrive tomorrow. But right now, it's definitely struggling in terms of membership dropping throughout North America. Um, my opinion on the Georgia Guidestones. I don't know much about the Georgia Guidestones atomic, other than people keep telling me that they were put up by Masons. I've never seen any evidence that they were. I don't believe that they were, but I don't know enough about them to say. I mean, I've never heard of any Masons. If Masons do install like some type of public work, some type of, I don't know, like public display, usually we want, we'll put like a square and compasses on it. We'll put a plaque on it that says like these were erected by this Masonic lodge because we want the credit for it. Also, I can't imagine, I've never heard of any Freemasons discuss depopulation. To my knowledge, that's not any type of Masonic plan of which I'm aware. We want the world to be better for everybody. We don't want less people in it. And I understand the Georgia Guidestones have some type of plan for depopulation, I think. I don't know. All I know is I've never seen any evidence that the Georgia Guidestones are related to Freemasonry in any way. So um, Thankers, Jonathan Kersis. So you don't have to believe in God per se. You have to believe in a supreme being. I don't use the term God because God usually invokes specific religious connotations like Christian, Muslim, Jewish. You have to believe in a supreme being. But that can be of any faith. That can be like myself, which is more spiritual. You don't have to have a set of beliefs per se, except again, a belief in a supreme being and a belief in certain attributes of that supreme being, like they favor virtue because we want virtuous people. But you don't need a set of beliefs in the way of like you need to have like a Bible or a holy book or like dogmas or doctrines. If that made any sense. I'm doing well, Crystal. Eleanor, I do this. I try to do this. So I am not a Christian, Jonathan, myself. I know many Christian Freemasons. And again, I would say the majority of Masons I've met have been Christian, but at least in North America, because it's probably the majority religion. If I were to be in Morocco, my assumption is it would be Muslim, for example. Although, again, throughout my travels throughout North America and around the world, I met Freemasons of all different faiths and all different backgrounds and all different beliefs. Eleanor, I do this stream. If you want to help me out, hit the like and subscribe button. What do Freemasons do? Freemasons try to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Um, Again, I've known many Christian Freemasons who attend churches regularly. That includes the Catholic Church. Now, the Catholic Church may have their own views on Freemasonry, but that oftentimes does not extend down to the membership within the Catholic faith, at least in my experience. Um, we do not lay claim to Solomon's Temple. We use Solomon's Temple as a metaphor to help illuminate certain lessons, primarily because it was such an important tool and such an important stone building, and Freemasonry evolved from stone Masonic guilds. Um, yes, pretty much, Eleanor. I mean, we gussy it up. We make it more formal. We dress in suits. We have Masonic rituals which help bond us together because if we all take part in similar rituals, what it means is we've all shared similar experiences, and that creates bonds of brotherhood, right? That's why you have ceremonies and rituals. I mean, if I know him, Crystal, there's a good chance I won't know him, your ancestor. Well, I mean, what I would say, I don't think Elvis was a Mason, Jonathan. I'm happy with my spiritual beliefs, which again are separate from Freemasonry. There's no contradiction between being a Freemason and being a Christian. But I guess right now I'm not necessarily looking for, a religious conversion, although I appreciate you being here. Um, no, we don't all worship something specific. Again, every Mason will believe in a supreme being. They may use the term worship, they may just use the term believe, but it's not, again, if you're Muslim, it'll be of the Muslim faith. If you're Christian, of the Christian faith. If you're indigenous, it'll be of, your indigenous or cultural faith. Um, well, thank you for that, Jonathan. Legend, listen to me focus. I don't see a lot of evil people on the stream. I see a lot of incorrect people on the stream, but tracksuit man, if I join Freemasons, do you think I can get a stable job um, um, with more work-life balance? Maybe. Yes, Freemason is like Boy Scouts. I mean, so when you join Freemasonry, obviously a part of that is um, you increase your social circle, you increase your networking circle. And it's possible through that you might meet somebody who's a brother who's looking to hire an employee or knows of a job that's available, and maybe he can help you find that job or get that job. But you can get that same networking increase from joining a flag football team or joining a knitting club, right? The idea that you'll be a Freemason and you'll get a job out of it or increase your networking, I mean, you may not. But if that's what you're looking for, there's plenty of places to get an increased social network, an increased social circle outside of Freemasonry. What I would suggest is the reason to join Freemasonry is first and foremost because you love it, and you go from there. I don't talk about Masonic rituals and the specifics of it, see Bradley, other than to say, at no point in any Masonic ritual did I experience or see anything that I would consider to be unsafe, illegal, or against my cultural, civic, religious, moral, familial duties or responsibilities. Um, Egypt, USA, I mean, Roman Empire, definitely not. Freemasonry did not start until about uh, I don't even know, 1,000 years after the Roman Empire, at least. If the Roman Empire finished 450 AD. Egypt, no. America, again, it's not exclusively a Freemason country, but certainly Freemasons had some involvement. There was, not exclusively, there was, if I recall correctly, 9 to 11 of the founding fathers and 13 of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were Freemasons. 13 out of 59. Um, so tracksuit man, Freemasonry is a civic or community organization or a club that was formed about 350 years ago, give or take, and evolved from stonemason guilds or trade unions. You can think about it if you're 5 years old as if you ever get together with your friends and build a clubhouse and create a club. Think about it like that. It's just a much more formalized version of that. But ultimately, it's fulfilling the same desire as when you're 5 and you create a club with your friends, the desire to belong to something bigger than oneself. I've never sacrificed my legs for the craft. Again, that is one of those things that keeps popping up. I don't know why. Um, oh, for heaven's sakes, Mike James. I was born missing my legs. I'm curious, why people would think it's funny to spread things like that. Oh, for heaven's sakes. If that case, wouldn't every Mason be out there missing their legs? Not the smartest people in the stream at the moment. Um, Well, I mean, Mike James, you are clearly a very stupid person if you believe a video and an article where people can say anything they want. Well, you did not start the rumor, but you're clearly a very stupid person if you believed the rumor. Um, Quinn Cartwright, well, thank you so much. There's a 4K video of it happening. Welcome back, Mr. Keeps. How did the trip go? You say, thank God I'm finally back home. I hope that doesn't mean that it was challenging to get back home. Like, I hope you didn't have any issues with your flights or anything like that. Because I know sometimes traveling, especially from South America, can be very challenging. As someone who's traveled a few times, um, I'm an inspiration for many reasons, including putting up with foolish people such as yourself, Mike James. If you honestly think that I sacrificed my legs to be a Freemason, then like I said, it's a very stupid thing to believe. Um, well, I'm glad you're back as well, and welcome back home. I know that, like I said, travel, it's a slog, right? It's absolutely a slog. I love it. I've always loved traveling. I consider myself, in some ways, a professional traveler. But yes, Mr. Keeps, you don't know what you've missed. Apparently, on Reddit, there's a story going around that the Masons took my legs as part of some type of disciplinary practice. There's a lot of stupid people in the world, and a lot of them find their way onto my stream. I suspect Mike James is a troll or a bot, but he also might just be a dumb person who believes it. Um, Honestly, tracksuit, if you join Freemasonry, you may in fact find yourself still dealing with boredom. Not every, like, there are plenty of Masonic meetings that are fun, that are enjoyable, that are exciting, where they do cool things. You have banquets, you have special events, you have celebrations. There's also plenty of Masonic meetings where you are talking about the bills that need to be paid, the minutes that need to be read, the um, who knows what else it is, um, the correspondence that needs to be filed. Maybe you're building, who's going to change the light bulbs, who's going to mop the floors. Like, being a Freemason is work as well as fun. And some of that work is boring. It doesn't mean it's not valuable and important. Reading of minutes, paying of bills, doing the accounts, those things matter. Those things are important because it's the boring work that allows you to do the fun stuff. If you're not willing to do the boring work of sitting down and making sure that your bank accounts are in order, you're going to have a hard time doing the fun stuff, like putting on banquets and special events, because you won't know how much money you have or how much money you can budget. Um, so that is not true either. Getting the boiler fixed, I get it, Darren. I get it, believe me. Um, how big? It depends, tracksuit, on how big the lodge is that you join. I mean, there are some lodges that have as many as 100 members, but again, it's not just members, it's who's showing up regularly. So there's no real way to know. But again, if you're joining to increase your social circle, I would say there's many other places from which you can join your social circle. At the start, don't think about it as desiring even to join. Just think about it as wanting to learn more. Go find your local Masonic lodge, knock on the door, express your interest in joining or express your interest in learning more about Freemasonry and get to know the guys. Talk to the guys that are there, talk to them about Freemasonry, check out the building in which they meet, ask them questions. And then if something in what they're saying and something in your discussions with them, if something, for lack of a better term, touches your heart and makes you think I might enjoy this, then you can join, and then you can start thinking about things like um, um, increasing your social circle and all the other fun but transactional benefits of Freemasonry, right? Whether it be increasing your social circle, getting a degree, all of those things are good, but they're transactional benefits. The core meaning it's moment in time. The core benefit to being a Freemason has to be because you love being a Freemason, and that's the end of it. That will help maintain your Masonic career through the highs and the lows and the boredoms and the fun and everything else, right? Um, it's not well, it's bot scouts. I mean, it's not Boy Scouts for sad men. I will say though, within Freemasonry, there are actually a lot of connections to scouting. Um, I mean, I would not disagree with that at all at time for judgment. If you want to increase your social circle, my question would be, do you have neighbors that you talk to? Do you have coworkers that you hang out with after work? There might be an entire social circle around you that you're just ignoring. You need to keep that in mind. Um, so I do not know what you're referring to legend with the concrete table and the pyramid being aligned with the Last Supper, but okay. Um, I hope everybody is doing well. I mean, Eddie Jr., you're not wrong in terms of having a lit sun within us. We at least have carbon within us, and carbon was forged in the crucible that is a star or the stars, including our sun. So that's definitely the case. But I'm not sure the pyramid to which you're referring. Yeah, so as Eric Reed points out, um, right, a lot of Masons have been involved with Scouts as well as Freemasonry. It's a very kind of, there's a lot of overlap between the two organizations in terms of membership and leadership. Please don't forget, I hope that you guys will enjoy, or mark in your calendar, the next 24-hour live stream, which will be January 21st, so less than a week away. Um, Thank you, Darren. I appreciate that very much. Megan, I'm going to assume that even though that question makes me think you are a troll, I'm going to assume that that's a legitimate question. I'll do my best to answer it. First of all, I've never seen that happen. I've never heard of that happening. Freemasonry does not discriminate against anyone who is you can be gay or straight. I've known gay Freemasons. I guess it's possible for two gay Freemasons to meet, though if they're already married, I'm not sure what's happening there. I guess what I'd say is Freemasonry encourages you to be first and foremost faithful to your family and to your job as well outside of Freemasonry, but encourages you to be faithful to your family. I would imagine if you're having an affair of any sort, it would be looked down upon. I don't think it'd be reason to necessarily demit you or suspend you from Freemasonry. At least I wouldn't go that far. But I would say within Freemasonry, you should, the general idea would be don't have affairs, don't cheat on your partners, be a better moral character than that. Um, Billy calling me Brad Pitt. I'll take it. Most people say I'm ugly on this stream. So if you think I look like Brad Pitt, I will take it happily. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I'm about 4 subscribers away from 3,300 subs. I'd very much appreciate the help. Um, I've never heard truth. I've heard family employment and deity or deity family employment. Um, David Schurter is on YouTube. Don't know a lot about him. I'm going to have to try to learn more about him. But he's not somebody I know a lot about. What I understand, he is very much full of baloney, but I don't want to say that for sure, as again, I've never had the chance to see his work. Um, well, on Sunday, I am going to be posting some stuff. I post things regularly on Sundays, so I hope you guys will follow me along for that. Um, we're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who joins. Again, I do these streams usually 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. My 1 p.m. streams are the longer streams. And I will be back on tomorrow with another stream. I hope you enjoyed today's discussions and topics. Um, so yeah. His family was Freemasons. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. For all that matter, I don't know if they were quote unquote legitimate Freemasons or if they were clandestine. You need to remember that as well. And just because his family was Freemasons doesn't mean he's giving out accurate information. That is true. I mean, maybe somebody could. I don't know. There may be somebody who says they can be and have been to the Egyptian pyramids. I know I've never been to the Egyptian pyramids. I wish I had been. It's definitely a bucket list item for sure. Silence and violence. If you accidentally spread to the rumor that I sacrificed my legs to be a Freemason, you are a stupid person. And I would strongly suggest you reconsider your critical thinking skills because that's very dumb. No organization, certainly not Freemasonry, would ever require the sacrificing of one's legs. If they did, that would be criminal and that would be illegal and they should be in jail. Um, I mean, if you want to be one legend, to be one, ask one. Although, what I would suggest is talking too much about, for example, the connections between Jesus and the Egyptian pyramids may not bode well for your application. Because Freemasonry is not a religion. Keep that in mind. So, if you come to them or at them with a lot of religiosity as your reason to want to join, Freemasonry might not be the best for you. A church or a spiritual kind of center may be a better option. Um, well, in that case, fair enough. Silence is violence. Um, yes, don't acknowledge the rumors, just ignore them, um, which is the best way to be. So, Adam Ware, Mormonism is a religion. Again, Freemasonry is not of that space, but the founder of Mormonism was a Freemason, Joseph Smith. And to my knowledge, when he was developing Mormonism, he borrowed some or a fair bit of Masonic symbols and kind of structures, and then used them when developing Mormonism. But again, it's one of those things where, um, the T.S. Eliot, good poets borrow, great poets steal. Why reinvent the wheel if Freemasonry in a civic space developed ceremonies, symbols, and structures that help people? Then I guess Joseph Smith figured why not take those and bring them into the religious space. So, so they are not our children. I do hate it when you say that because that's just not true. And also, I mean, if I was a Mormon, I'm not, but if I was a Mormon, I probably wouldn't be happy to be referred to as anybody's child or any group's child. Um, the world is full of very stupid people, legend Jesus, but the world is also full of good people. And we have to do our best to find the good. It's not always easy, I know, but it's worth trying. Um, I don't know who Doug Mesner is, but if he's doing anything to gravestones in terms of vandalizing them or disrespecting them, he should be charged with a crime. I guess it'd be what, trespassing and property damage? I don't actually know what the charges would be, but he should be charged with some crime. Well, I don't know if we'll ever know the truth, quote unquote, the full truth of everything. I don't even know what that would mean. What I will say is it's not about knowing the truth or the full truth. What it's about is always seeking and searching and trying to be a little bit better. To my knowledge, the truth is like perfection. It's something we will never be able to fully obtain, but it is something that we can try our best to obtain, if that makes any sense. I don't think people know the truth. Think people know truths, and I think we every day through science and study know more and more truths. Whether we will ever know the truth, meaning the full truth of the universe, I don't know if we'll ever reach that. I don't know if I'd want humanity to ever reach that point because at that point, will we ever be able to like it's the search for truth that allows us to advance, right? It's the search for truth that allows us and gives us motivation to grow, at least scientifically speaking, right? So, I mean, as a good example of it, Freemasonry kind of has that idea with the rough ashlar and the perfect ashlar. We have the rough ashlar, we try, which is what we are now, which is rough. We have the perfect ashlar, which is our efforts to what we want to become, which is perfect. But the point is, we never get there. But every day, through science, through not through science, through study, through um, the study of moral geometry, through applying ourselves, through helping others, we get ourselves a little bit closer to that perfect ashlar, at least here on Earth. If you're going to talk about the perfect ashlar in a spiritual sense, that's a religious question. Um, Shelly PC, say hi. Serene? Well, I'm not going to answer everything you say, Serene. You got to remember, I'm not going to answer everything that everybody says on the stream all the time. I can only answer so many questions. I mean, David Scherter can live stream his own videos, Zohabe. Well, so you're referring to, again, Albert Pike. He was one dude who was around the 1800s who wrote Morals and Dogma. He was a Luciferian, but his opinions on Freemasonry do not define the whole of Freemasonry. He was also writing specifically for one context, which is the southern jurisdiction of Scottish Rite. And also, he's a Luciferian. What that is, to my knowledge, is he believed that the snake in the Garden of Eden was not, in fact, the Antichrist, nor was it Satan. It was rather a separate entity, closer to Prometheus, like a light bringer, who brought knowledge. Now, that's one particular religious belief. I've never met any Luciferian Freemasons. I'm not saying that's correct. I'm not religious myself, but just because Albert Pike said something in a book published in southern United States 100 and something years ago does not mean it's a reflection of Freemasonry, right? That would be equivalent to me reading, I'm trying to think of an example. That would be like the equivalent of me reading a book about America and whatever the author says, taking that to be gospel as to what America is. It's one man's interpretation, one man's opinion. It's not accurate as to what Freemasonry is. Um, well, Julius Caesar was, yes, it was Adam Ware. Uh, to my knowledge, that what you're saying is true. I'm not 100% sure. I used to know this. It was initially linked to British Grand Lodges. I know that's certainly true. I don't think it was ever linked to any other lodges. Nova Scotia sounds about right. I know it started in the Maritimes. I've said it a million times. Freemasonry is the story of stone and water. Stone is obvious, stonemasons, right? Freemasonry evolved from stone Masonic guilds. Water, because Freemasonry began in England in the Middle Ages, and to spread outside of England, because England was and is an island, it was dependent upon the navy or merchant ships. So basically, the entirety of its spreading early on was as a consequence of getting passage on, again, either naval and military ships or merchant ships, which is why you see when Freemasonry first makes its way to new countries and new lands, it almost always starts in port towns, or coastal towns, whether it be the Maritimes, Boston, Hong Kong, Macau, anywhere where a ship can basically land or a ship can, sail into and port. So yeah, that sounds about right to me. I knew it started in the maritime provinces. Nova Scotia sounds right, and that date sounds right. I can't say 100% sure because I don't remember, but that sounds right to me. Um, So first of all, when you say renowned, I know just as many Freemasons who, well, I mean, most Freemasons have never read him and don't know who he is. I've known many Freemasons who love his stuff. I know many Freemasons who think his stuff is baloney or bullshit. I'm somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of things he wrote, in Morals and Dogma that I like. There's a lot of things he wrote that I think are stupid. Um, One of the best quotes I ever heard about Albert Pike, though, was, it's actually a brother who's been on the stream before. Somebody brought up Albert Pike to him and said, Albert Pike said this. And my friend, who's a Freemason, said, well, I'm a York Rite. I'm a Knights Templar. Why do I give a shit what Albert Pike thinks? And, I think that's pretty valid and a pretty valid and pretty correct interpretation. Um, So Freemasonry started in Scotland, probably in 1634, what's the word? With the first speculative Masons, and then the first Grand Lodge was June 24th, 1717, under Grandmaster Sayer in Premier Grand Lodge of England. Freemasonry did not start in Egypt. You could argue, if you want, Masonry started in Egypt, meaning, the idea of building things from stone. You had the stonemasons during that time. And you could argue anytime stonemasons gathered for social functions, it was there. But really, practically, it evolved from stonemason guilds in the Middle Ages. Um, well, I'm not the one with the name Big Ol' Nuts. Now, that's not to say that Freemasons did not metaphorically, or actually literally, borrow symbols and symbology from Egyptian mysticism and Egyptian hieroglyphs. In fact, in many Masonic lodges, there are Egyptian rooms which are, designed with an Egyptian kind of motif, ancient Egyptian motif. But that doesn't mean it literally started in ancient Egypt. That's silly. Freemasonry as an organization started in London, started either in Scotland, if you want to say, or you can say London, England in June 24th, 1717. Um, am I waffling right now? Maybe things are just complicated, and sometimes people don't recognize what is complicated or how things are complicated. But again, Freemasonry as an organization that we understand today did not start in ancient Egypt. It started in London, England, it started either, again, you could argue in Scotland in 1634 when the first speculative Masons joined Freemasonry, or it started in London with the formation of the United Grand Lodge of England in 1717. Well, pyramids didn't worship pharaohs. Pharaohs built pyramids as part of their worship, I would think. Well, not literally. They used slaves to build them, obviously. But they also used stonemasons. Many of the cases, these stonemasons were actually better fed than the slaves doing the labor, and were more often than not more of overseers and actual laborers. Um, Freemasonry did not start in Missouri. That is definitely not the case. Now, the Eastern Star started in Missouri, if I recall correctly, which is a Masonic order. Um, Sorry, legend. I never one who believes this stuff. To me, Freemasonry, I do not believe in using of energies and vibrations. They used a lot of manpower and a lot of slaves and a lot of time, and they were willing to see a lot of them die in order to get the work done. Um, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you're willing to dedicate yourself, not personally to it, but dedicate all of the resources and people of a country to it. And the people of the country cannot say no. So, uh, We're going to give it a bit more time, just a couple more minutes. We'll do this for an hour stream. By the way, welcome back home, Mr. Keeps. Thank you for this super chat. I don't know if you're still there or not, but you'll have to let me know how your trip went. I would love to visit. I've been to a couple places in South America. I'd really like to get to some more places. I mean, some might have been. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes certain types of religious, I don't know what the word is, mania can take over, and maybe they did feel honored. I can say, um, I would definitely not be honored if I was chosen for human sacrifice. So please, nobody choose me for that. Um, I mean, it's possible, Serene. I wouldn't doubt it. Stonemasons traveled everywhere. You know, there's a reason why craftsmen and tradesmen are very often called journeymen, right? It's because a big part of being a craftsperson or a tradesperson historically was having the ability to travel, right? Whether it was you're traveling overseas, overland, wherever it is to apply your trade. So if you're a carpenter, a stonemason, you want to be able to travel and work on different sites, whether it be the pyramids in Egypt or a cathedral in Rome, right? And so, yeah, stonemasons would have traveled, some of them very far, to find work. And I'm sure that was true throughout history. Um, Yes, A.E. Reed. This snow tonight was a pain in the butt. It's been crazy to see all this snow. I don't know if you're from Windsor or not, but we got a huge dump of snow. It made traveling to the Masonic Lodge tonight a pain in the butt, I can assure you, but still a lot of fun and worth it 100%. So, yeah, it was really a good night. I was in Rose Lodge. It was beautiful. Thank you, Rose, for an excellent meeting. So we do not, Serene. If any Mason came to me and said, I'm going to get to heaven by doing good deeds and leading a pious life, I would say no. Well, I would say Freemasons do not make any promises of salvation nor threats of damnation. So there may be, for example, some religions that teach that that's how you get to paradise. I don't know. But Freemasonry does not tell people how to get to heaven. Now, it may illuminate, and it does illuminate, certain moral lessons that help you understand how to live better down here, how to be a better community member, friend, neighbor, brother, family man, right? But in terms of where your immortal soul is going, that has nothing to do with Freemasonry. And if anybody asked me if Freemasonry has any advice on how to get into heaven, my response would be go to your religious leaders. Um, well, the guy who serves the London Grand Lodge is incorrect. Are Freemasons individualistic or collectivist? That's a tough question to answer, work. Because I think those terms have political implications, and Freemasonry is not political. I mean, my my tendency would be to say we're almost by definition more on the collectivist side in that we evolved out of ancient guilds, which are basically trade unions. So to have your origins in trade unions and also to be a brotherhood, by definition, you there's a collectivist quality to that. Although I've known many Freemasons who are very ardent individualists in their day-to-day lives and actions, I would say politically it's all over the map. Within Freemasonry, there's a collectivist quality in that, I should be there for my brother, he should be there for me, and I should take that idea of being there for my brother and then expand that to the community. But in terms of, let's say, do they support individualistic or collectivist political policies or economic policies, that gets way more confusing. Um, when you say maybe there's, my suspicion, I don't actually know. My suspicion is there's more Christian Freemasons than Muslim because where Freemasonry first developed and then how it spread first primarily, I would say, to more Christian nations, but there's a lot of Muslim Freemasons. There's also a lot of Jewish Freemasons. There's also a lot of Hindu and Sikh Freemasons. I don't know the precise numbers. Um, well, the Knights Templar was way before Freemasonry, Adam. But the Knights Templar is, associated with obviously Christianity and within Freemasonry as well. But again, Freemasonry is open to many different faiths and beliefs. So I don't think the lost city of Atlantis ever existed, but who knows? That's one where, and no, I am not one who believes in kind of conspiracies or alternative history. So my natural assumption is Atlantis was a myth. Having said that, it's possible that I'm wrong. Of all of those type of things, um, probably I'm the most willing to believe that Atlantis may be real. Um, Maybe not in the Bermuda Triangle, but somewhere around the world. If you were to found some type of city that suffered a cataclysm and ended up sliding into the sea, it wouldn't shock me. I do not believe in leprechauns, but I love the leprechaun movies. Rando sings. Freemasonry is not like the Illuminati. Freemasonry started about 50 years before the Illuminati. The Illuminati was started by an ex-Freemason, a guy called Adam Weishaupt, who did not like Freemasonry because he thought it was too expensive and not esoteric enough. Um, Illuminati really doesn't exist anymore. When you say bam, yard, dog, can you be pagan? I don't know because I don't know what the definition of pagan is. So I've known two Wiccan Freemasons, Wiccan. Um, I don't know if like Wiccan and pagan is precisely the same thing. I've heard different definitions of pagan. You have to believe in a supreme being. To my knowledge, if you are pagan, you believe in at least a supreme being, if not supreme beings, plural. So I don't see why not, right? I don't see why not. Um, Bam. So I don't know, Bam, if you're pagan or not. But again, I've never met any Freemasons who describe themselves as pagan. So I can't say for sure. I can say if I were on the committee or examining a potential applicant for admission and their supreme being, they describe themselves as pagan, I would have no issue with that and, let them into Freemasonry. Um, it would depend kind of on how they described it, I think, to a certain extent. So that is not true, Patrick. That is not true at all. Freemasons do not require you to be Christian. I've known many Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, First Nations, Indigenous Masons. I'm a Freemason and I'm not a Christian. So I guess I don't know where you're getting your information, but you are wrong. They have never found anything on Oak Island, and at this point, I don't think they ever will. Um, Well, the Illuminati, I don't know enough about them. I don't think they worship Satan, but they didn't make it very far. I mean, they don't exist anymore. So, um, very big stretch, very big stretch. Like I said, I don't buy that. I don't think there's anything on Oak Island. I don't think that they've ever actually found anything. And that island can't be that big. I mean, at this point, if there was anything to find, they would have found it. Um, I would love to visit Savannah and I would love to visit that lodge. That'd be awesome. I just talked about Solomon work and um King Solomon and why he's important to Freemasonry. I asked some questions about him on stream. I hope you guys will check those out. Um, Nothing but a hole. By the way, Bama Yard Dog, I love that name. I hope if you're not done so yet, you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I'm 3 subs away from 3,300 subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been helping this stream grow. It's been growing very well over the past several weeks and months, especially. So I greatly appreciate it. Um, I mean, I don't believe there's any Illuminati blood rituals or anything like that. I think that stuff is very silly. Well, thank you then, Bama Yard Dog, and thank you for being here. I hope my questions have been going well for you, or at least my answers have, been illuminating and they've made sense. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you asking questions. There is no Illuminati blood oath legend. Legend, I love you, but I might put you in a timeout in a second. You need to calm down with talking about the Illuminati stuff because it's getting repetitive. Um, and too much repetition is can be challenging for the stream. Yes, they have. Good. Well, I mean, I'm glad. And yeah, don't obviously you have to put yourself first in terms of, if you need to find a job, um, then that should be where your focus is. And I wish you best of luck. I know it can be tough out there. So focus on that, focus on getting a job, and then go from there. Um, but obviously, Freemasonry is not going anywhere, at least not anywhere soon. So you've got plenty of time. And in the interim, I do appreciate you being here very much. What made me, so nothing made me join Freemasonry. I know you didn't mean it in that way, but I do want to make it clear for anybody listening or watching the stream. Sometimes you have to be careful with context. Nothing made me join. I chose to join because my father was a Freemason, as were my grandparents, and I always just kind of assumed I would join. However, you want to keep in mind there's a difference between the reason one joins Freemasonry and the one remains active in Freemasonry. So that's something you need to keep in mind as well. And the reason I remained active in Freemasonry is because I love Freemasonry. Um, it's one of my, for whatever reason, and who knows why, it's just something I love. Well, some of these questions, Legend, are getting a little bit, I wouldn't call them psycho, but are getting a little bit off base, put it that way. You didn't reveal any secrets, and I wouldn't worry if be concerned, but you are kind of repeating yourself, saying a lot of stuff about Illuminati blood oaths, none of which has anything to do with Freemasonry, right? We're not Illuminati. We don't have these type of oaths, anything like that. So it's more you repeating stuff that has nothing to do with Freemasonry. Um, I don't know if you watch Alex Jones or not. My suggestion would be to not watch him for whatever it's worth, but you know, you do you. That's true for everybody. I'm not personally a big fan of Alex Jones. Um, in my experience, he tends to be wrong way more than he's right. And when he is wrong, a lot of people tend to get hurt as a consequence. Well, I guess light free, that's because to join Freemasonry, there's a certain leap of faith. I mean, I like to think I've explained well what it is in the most general sense, the history of it, and what it does, right? It's a social group, it's a civic club. Do you ever get together with your friends on a Friday night? Take that idea of getting together, make it a formal affair in terms of maybe you wear suits and you have certain rituals. But at the end of it, it's a very, very formalized guys' night out. But if you want to learn what the rituals are and the ceremonies, you got to join. Um, I have not watched the Pentaverate. I don't know what that is movie. Maybe I'll check it out. I'm not a big fan of conspiracy theories myself. I think they tend to harm both the people that are targeted by the conspiracy theories as well as the people who believe them. Wow, Doug. So you're saying I'm ugly. Are you saying my face is ugly? I got an ugly nose. People always talk about my teeth as being ugly. I don't see why. I got a big gap in my teeth. I know that, but I've grown to accept it. I mean, that would be fine, Bam Yard. I don't see why that would be an issue for Freemasonry. Well, then thank you, Doug. I'm going to take the voice compliment. I've grown very much used to people coming on stream and saying I'm ugly. So the fact that you're saying I have a great voice, I will take it. Um, Nothing would get you killed in a Freemasons club. So that's not what we do. Freemasons, are taught to be respectful of the laws of the country in which they live. Murder and killing somebody would not be respectful of that. I did not know that work and 925, that Eddie Murphy was a Prince Hall Mason, one of the greatest comedians of all time, maybe a top five, depending who you ask. Adam, there's a million of them around, so you'll have no trouble finding one. That's for sure. Well, then I'm glad that you heard of it. I'm glad you found this stream. Um, and thank you for being here. I think I heard that work and that Richard Dreyfuss is a Freemason. I don't know if you have any Bam Yard Dog, if you have a top five list of comedians. I used to do stand-up comedy back in the day. If I had to pick my top five, gosh, that's tough. Mitch Hedberg. Um, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can pick a top five. Nate Bargatze, Eddie Murphy. I need to give a shout out to Cat Williams because he did. Oh my gosh, what was the special he did? I got to see if I can find this now. Um, so American Hustle, in my opinion, American Hustle has the greatest opening in the history of stand-up comedy. His whole bit with the song, so good. Um, I'm still one down. Louis C.K. maybe. Eddie, you're not wrong. You have to conquer yourself. You have to, if not, I don't know if I use the term conquer per se, but definitely have to develop discipline, which is a very important and valuable skill and ability. I mean, I don't know what made Henry Ford so special. I know he was a Freemason. I would say he certainly had a strong work ethic, to my knowledge. Um, Legend Taylor Swift is not a Freemason, to my knowledge. Wouldn't be girl Freemason. There are no girl Freemasons. There are women Freemasons. There's Rainbow Girl, which is for a Masonic youth group, but that's a different thing altogether as well. Well, I mean, when I say different, it is part of the Masonic family. Rainbow is a wonderful part of the Masonic family, but that's for young women and girls. For Freemasons, it's the Order of Women Freemasons. Well, so there are co-Masonic lodges. Those are not often recognized by quote unquote regular orders Freemasonry, but they do exist, primarily out of the Grand Orient. Then there's the Order of Women Freemasons, which is exclusively for women. And then there's, call it regular or AF and AM, or F and AM Masonry, which is exclusively a fraternity. There's also Eastern Star, which is for both men and women to join. But it gets complicated at the earliest stages of your Masonic career. Really, the focus should just be on enjoying the experience and enjoying Freemasonry. You learn these things as you go. One of the example I always give is joining Freemasonry is like moving to a new town. When you first move to the new town, you are going to like you don't necessarily know like you don't know anything about the town. So it's very hard to get around. You're always asking for directions. You don't know where anything is. But if you've lived there long enough, over time, eventually you'll just learn where things are and how to get around. And suddenly one day you wake up and you realize, oh, I don't need to ask directions to go to this place or go to this place. I know what the bus schedule is. I know how the trains operate. I know the shortcuts. I know the fastest routes. You don't necessarily set out to learn these things. You just learn them as you go through time and experience. Joining Freemasonry is like this, is that way. When you first join, no matter how much you've tried to prepare, there's a lot you don't know and there's a lot that you have to learn. But if you just keep showing up and if you just keep paying attention, even if, even if you're not trying to, you'll pick things up and learn things. And eventually, before you know it, you'll go from being the guy who's always asking questions to being the guy who's providing answers to newer people's questions. I don't wear my Masonic ring because I have missing my legs and I'm in a wheelchair. And if I wear the ring, it scrapes against the wheel. You kind of hear that all the time. So I don't wear a ring. Um, so in my opinion, I believe in infinite. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the term now. I believe in the multiverse. So I believe that there is multiple Big Bangs happening throughout reality, which creates basically pocket universes. So we're one of many. We may be the one exclusive universe in which life can exist, and in which our type of life can exist specifically, but that's what I think. So, legend, you will not, I mean, if you're going to go insane, I guess you're going to go insane. Freemasonry will not drive anybody insane. What I would say, though, is that question of there's so much information, there is a lot of information. You can spend your whole life learning about Freemasonry and find there's always something more to learn, which is a really beautiful thing, by the way. It's one of the best parts about Freemasonry. This idea that there's always more to learn. It's something I love about it, right? If I didn't, and I think that connects to, the extent to which Freemasonry is a lifelong endeavor. What I've found is people who join Freemasonry and remain active and remain engaged and keep showing up for Lodge over and over again, year after year, one thing they all tend to have in common is they all tend to be very curious people and have a lot of curiosity. And the beautiful thing about that is, um, the beautiful thing with that curiosity is it keeps them coming back because they always want to learn more. People who aren't very curious, who tend to, either they think they know everything or they just don't care to know everything or they don't care to learn new things, tend to not last as long in Freemasonry. They may remain a member for life, but they're the type who don't show up to Lodge frequently. At least that's my experience. Eddie, I don't think you're wrong. We all consider ourselves to be the main character of our story. I think true maturity comes when you realize you might be the main character of your story, but you're not the main character of somebody else's story. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, Aristotle. You got to join. Electric, please hit like and subscribe. Um, I think our universe is forever expanding. I think it's infinite. And I also think we are the exclusive life forms within the universe, at least intelligent life forms. Um, a lot of things within Mormonism borrow from Freemasonry. Joseph Smith was a Freemason. But hey, good poets borrow, great poets steal. So, um, sure, legend. But I'm going to be leaving the stream shortly because I got to get some sleep at some point. A lot of people would think that way. I think there's some truth to that. I think the Supreme Being is within all of us, define as you will. At least in the idea of the immortal, the immortal idea which animates us or our soul. Hello, Cap WNS. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll all be marking your calendars. 24-hour live stream coming up January 21st. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Yes, Aristotle. I mean, I would fit into that category 100%. You have to believe in a supreme being, not in a religious doctrine or religious dogmas or in a particular theology. I am a third degree Master Mason, which is the most important degree in Freemasonry. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite. I appreciate that, Cap. By the way, make sure that you turn. I'm sorry I always forget you, but I do appreciate you being here. I hope that you will, if you are subscribed, I think you are, turn on the notification bell. That way, whenever I'm streaming, you'll see the notification pop up. Because right now, approximately 6% of my audience has the notification bell turned on. Let me actually get the exact number. See how close I am. Yes, you did, Noodle M. Please hit like and subscribe. Electric Medicine Man. I mean, some people like to collect Masonic stuff. There's actually a pretty decent market for it. My advice, if you can, Electric Medicine Man, is to return it to the local lodge because they may want to give it to another brother or they may want to give it to the brother's family. Having said that, if you find it, I mean, finders keepers, it's the Mason's own fault for allowing the stuff to be lost or ended up in a pawn shop or estate sale or however it is you find it. The highest level of Freemasonry is a third degree Master Mason. Jados 1, Blackos 1. Well, I'm glad that you've been interested in Freemasons. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate it. I hope you're doing well, and I hope I can answer some of your questions. I'll be back on stream at 1 p.m. today, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will not beat you up. I mean, I'd rather you not do that, but they'll not beat you up. But that's why I always tell Masons, just because someone is wearing a Masonic shirt or Masonic, hat, that doesn't automatically mean they're a Freemason. You still have to do your due diligence. I'm doing very well, Harry Hawk. Thank you for being here. Estate sales, it's very common to find Masonic items at estate sales. And again, if they end up in your hands during an estate sale, that is the Mason's own fault for not putting specific instructions in his will, explaining that his Masonic items are to be returned to the lodge, and not talking to his next of kin about what he wants to happen to his Masonic items. So, yeah, it just is what it is. And I mean, there's a big market for it. I've been to pawn shops and stuff where they charge you an arm and a leg for some of those items because they know they'll sell them. I don't know if anybody will ever know the truth, Eddie, but people can know truths, or at least part of the truth. And hopefully we can all kind of gather those truths together. LED lights are great for lodges. I mean, I think the best light for a lodge is what A, provides the most illumination, while also is most cost effective and energy efficient. In my humble opinion. And nothing's wrong, Adam. Lodges need to think about those things. They absolutely need to think about those things. They need to think about, the type of lights they use, how expensive it is, what the bills are, all that good jazz. I think God can exist in animal. I mean, Harry, if you can do it, if you have the capacity, I think solar would be great. Probably a money saver. I mean, silence and violence. I mean, I think what you're talking about there is very important. I've talked about ways to make our buildings more accessible. A lot of people think about I guess I'd say, more obvious ways, like, ramps or automatic doors. They don't always think about for example, they don't always think about, how well illuminated is the building? How good is the sound system in the building? Like they don't always think about those things, and that's unfortunate because those are just as valuable and just as important as the ramps and the elevators and things like that. Um, can Freemasons? I mean, Freemasonry is not a business. There would be nothing wrong with a group of Masons, who enjoy each other's company and get along well, deciding they want to open up a restaurant together, right? But Freemasonry is not in of itself a business per se. I don't know what a hack engineer is. Please hit like and subscribe. We made it to 3,300 subs, so I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much. It looks like we've made it there. Well, I appreciate that. What are the benefits of being a Freemason? Aristotle, there is no specific benefit. Rather, every Mason gets his own benefit. So, for example, for me, one of the benefits is my grandfather was a Freemason. He died before I was born, so I never got to meet him. However, being a Freemason makes me feel closer to him. There is the social safety net benefit of being a Freemason. If you run into hard times, there are brothers you can rely on to talk to, or potentially you can request benevolence to help you if you run into financial difficulty. You can develop certain skills and abilities, how to run and organize a meeting. There's a lot of different things that benefits, but every brother needs to find those benefits for himself. What I would say is at its core, the benefit to Freemasonry is the same as the benefit of listening to your favorite song. You love it, and that's why you do it. But beyond that, there are specific benefits that every Mason can experience. Some Masons, again, may be financially well off and never be in a situation where they need at least, a safety net or financial assistance. They may benefit from it in other ways. Other brothers may reach a point in their life where they're struggling financially and they may need, the lodge to assist them. So every Mason kind of gets different benefits from it. CS855, please hit like and subscribe. 6534, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, when you say circular economy, that makes me think of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Mac and I think it was Mac and Charlie try to create a self-sustaining economy by handing out like Patty's bucks or something. I mean, I've seen them do different giveaways. I don't know if they've ever done car giveaways per se, but Masons have done different giveaways to raise funds. Sometimes for a brother in need, sometimes for the lodge in general. So yeah. Language is incredibly important, both within Freemasonry and just within ourselves and our lives day to day. So. All right, I think we're going to end this stream now. Again, thank you everybody who's been here. Thank you for giving me over 3,300 subs. I hope my answers work for you guys, and I hope you'll join me at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, a hot dog is a sandwich. Braveheart Master, hello. Thank you for being here. I'll be ending this stream in a second. I'll be back on at 1 p.m. Eastern. Well, you are wrong, CS855. A hot dog is definitely a sandwich. I can't imagine how you could consider it not a sandwich. All right, guys. Talk to you later. I'll see y'all soon. Oh my gosh. As I'm about to leave the stream, it's meat encompassed by bread. Just because it's a single piece of bread doesn't mean it's not bread on either side. I mean, like a French dip is a sandwich, and usually the bread is still attached, right? Even an open-faced sandwich. And I love hot dogs, by the way. I will say this, I never put ketchup on my hot dog because I'm not a monster and I love Chicago. And in honor of Chicago, I would never put ketchup on my hot dog. So just deal with that, all right? Just deal with that. Cultured is not putting ketchup on your hot dog. Um, so there you go. All right, guys, talk to y'all soon. And thank you again for being here as I try to get this.